What it do, guys? Your boy JangleX and welcome back to another reaction. Today we are checking out the film theory of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, Decoded. So they're going to explain each one for me and for all of us as well. Well, probably just because you guys probably see the decodeds of the film theory. So I think it's up to 6 episodes. So let's go. I'm gonna watch the first one. Then after that, we'll watch the next one on another day. So let's go ahead and check out the theory.
What's your favorite idea? Mine is being creative.
Oh, yeah?
Creative.
Well, mine is unraveling the mysteries of insane viral videos.
Oh, set the countdown! I need to know the mystery of the decoded.
Hello,
Like,
Internet.
tell me,
Welcome
Mr. Film
to
Theory,
Film
aka
Theory,
Game
the
Theory.
YouTube version of your uncle who thinks that everything is a conspiracy.
Ooh.
Why, yes, Uncle Bob. I do think it's strange that you never see a baby pigeon, and I'm definitely interested to hear your theory about
Wait a
the government's
second.
involvement in that.
I've never seen a baby pigeon, to be honest.
Mixture of insanity and analysis.
Don't stop, just
brings
notice
us to
something.
Today's topic, the independent internet darling, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. If you're unfamiliar with DHMIS, it's a series of short films with puppets that looks to be inspired by shows like Sesame Street. But hold on there, all you neglectful parents raising your kids off of YouTube videos. If any of you are looking it up right now to show your children, you're probably gonna want to let me finish this sentence first. Because each episode of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared features a bit of a dark turn towards
Yes,
the end.
it does.
Like arts
Some
and
dark
crafts
secrets.
with a real heart. Or a giant can eating a duck alive. Oh yeah, you're in that part of YouTube again. But even though Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is genuinely one of the weirdest things I've watched on YouTube, I really like it. It's really well done, and you should absolutely watch it. At its core, this series is all about YouTube. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared's creators, Becky Sloan and Joseph Helling, pretty much started this from scratch on the site. The first episode came out only 3 months after I uploaded my first ever episode of Game Theory. It's a long time ago,
Wow.
so I feel like we have a kindred history here. But also I like it because this show refuses to be categorized. It's got puppets, but it also has animation in a lot of different styles. And then, if you wait long enough, it also has some live action sequences. All of these different
pretty much.
styles are one of the things that makes it really hard to interpret. These videos aren't interested in playing by anybody else's rules, and that makes it really exciting to watch. But last, and probably most importantly, is the amazing attention to detail these videos have. The number of callbacks and Easter eggs in every episode is astounding.
Oh.
Some of them you have to practically watch frame by frame to even see. And
Oh,
that's the kind of stuff that makes
what?
me, and obviously tons of other theorists out there, really excited. There are a lot of different ways to interpret Don't Hug Me, but today,
I didn't
for
know he
our
was creepy
first
in the
theory on this
corner.
series- That's right, I said first, more on that later. We're gonna talk about what the whole thing means, an overview of the main themes of the whole series. Granted, we're not the first people to try and do this. YouTube and Reddit were flooded with theories when the last episode went up, but I really tried to do my homework on this one, and I got an explanation for Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared that'll convince even the most skeptical of theorists. Be warned, comprehensive spoilers lie ahead, but then again, this entire thing is on YouTube, and it's just 6 episodes that are between 3 and 8 minutes each, so
Yeah,
just
pretty
go
much.
watch it, like right now. Anyway, you all ready?
Yes, I
Fantastic.
am.
Let's get creative. If we're
Oh,
going to
snap.
explain what's going on in Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, we first need to establish what kind of world we're in. A lot of theories look at the bizarre events in this series as evidence of something sinister, such as the 3 main characters, to whom I'll be referring to from here on out as the red guy, the yellow guy, and the duck, being stuck in purgatory or some sort of nightmare. To that I say, Occam's razor, my friend. A better explanation is one that's a lot simpler. These 3 are just stars of a children's television show. Granted, it may not be a very nice children's television show, but the evidence is there. There are several instances in which we see the inner workings of a television show. We see clapboards and cameras right in episode 1 at the start
Yeah,
of the
I've seen that.
creativity
I noticed
montage.
that, 'cause
Then
they
again,
were, like,
in
watching
episode
them.
4, when the red guy follows the computer wire to the next room, and in episode 6, as the lamp explains dreaming to the yellow guy. We can also tell that most of the time, these characters are on sets. This is most obvious when Duck revolts in episode 5, saying, the perspective of the video changes, indicating that Duck has hit the camera that's filming him, and when the camera looks upward, we can see the characters aren't actually in a house with a ceiling, but in a studio with lights overhead. The other obvious tip-off is that our 3 main characters are basically archetypes of what you'd see on Sesame Street. The yellow guy is a human puppet, like Bert or Ernie. The duck is an
he
animal
does
puppet,
really-
like
he does-
Snuffleupagus or Big
Definitely
Bird, and the
does.
red guy is some sort of humanoid monster, like a Grover or Oscar the Grouch, or those aliens that go meep all the time. Those things utterly freaked me out, by the way. And if this is indeed a TV show, it would explain some of the Easter eggs we keep seeing in later episodes. As Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared progresses, we start to see some of the same props appearing over and over again. At the beginning of episode 4, we can see a statue of Malcolm from the previous episode on the fireplace next to the clock. At the start of episode 5, we see the number chart the computer uses in episode 4 attached to the refrigerator, and then there are other props, like the red, blue, and yellow baseball cap that keeps showing up episode after episode. These aren't just cool Easter eggs, they're there for a reason, to decorate the set with props they've used before instead of having to buy entirely new props and set
I never noticed the hat. I wasn't paying attention too much
not
about
just
it.
within TV shows, but also across productions as a way to save money. There are examples of this practice all over film and TV, like the newspaper from No Country for Old Men showing up in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and even better, Modern Family. The armor from Starship Troopers also makes an appearance in
Starship
Firefly,
Trooper.
or
I haven't seen that
Star
movie in so
Trek
long.
literally reusing an entire space station in 2 completely separate productions. There's one other juicy bit of theorist bait in episode 6 that strongly points to the whole thing being a TV show as well. When the yellow guy is in bed looking through his scrapbook, we see a picture of the red guy, who wasn't in episode 5 except for the credits, and whose bed is empty at the start of episode 6, wearing a graduation cap. Other theorists have suggested that this means that red guy is a teenager who grew up and went out to the real world, but going off to college is also a way for a television show to explain the sudden absence of a main character. For instance, at the end of season 4 of Blue's Clues, the original host Steve announces that he's leaving Blue to
I remember that. I actually remember that as a
To a
baby.
new host,
Wait, when Steve
go
left,
into weird
his
artsy
brother
films
took
that
over.
He's working on now. And no, internet, he did not go off and die of a heroin overdose. He just did a TV show like 3 years ago. Fact check, internet. Man, you guys are dark. Then again, we are talking about a series of videos where one of the puppets dies in a vat of oil and another gets his intestines ripped out. So, yeah. Internet is a dark, dark place. All right, great. So Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is a kids' TV show. Awesome. But what does it mean? What the heck are the makers of the show trying to say? Well, the first part of this is fairly obvious. Television messages that are delivered to children are corrupting them as much as they're helping them. Those
You
episodes
ain't
of
wrong.
Sesame Street? Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Leading your kids down a dark path of brainwashing destruction. I'm looking at you, Big Bird. At least according to DHMIS. You don't think so? Just look at each episode. The pattern here is pretty clear. Each one has a theme you'd expect to see on a show like Sesame Street. Creativity, how time works, love, technology and computers, healthy eating, and dreams. But in every instance, that message gets corrupted. And not just by decaying flesh or catching your dad watching porn or a human heart covered in glitter. Let's take it episode by episode. Episode 1 is all about the virtues of creativity, except it portrays certain types of creativity as being right and wrong, claiming that green isn't a creative color and that the yellow guy's picture of a clown deserves to be destroyed because it's somehow creative in the wrong way. Episode 2 tries to explain the concept of time, but that explanation is overly simplistic and teaches that time is important, even though kids still can't understand it from the way it's being taught. The clock answers questions about time like,
But when did it start?
And when will it stop?
with weird evasive answers like,
Time is important, and I am a clock.
then, when the duck finally tries to explain time scientifically, the clock yells until yellow guy's ears literally start to bleed. In episode 3, the yellow guy learns about love from a butterfly,
Pesky bee?
or bee,
A little baby pigeon.
or little baby pigeon, or whatever. It teaches him
Whatever
about
it is, right?
feelings, but then later learns that love is only okay when it's followed in a certain way, particularly as it applies to religion. Episode 4 is all about computers and how they can teach us a lot about the world, but at the end simply conclude that in the digital world, people end up doing frivolous things like fashion and shopping and mindless entertainment. They're literally getting sucked into a computer and distracted with all these superficial things rather than the information they were looking for in the first place. Then in episode 5, the characters are supposed to learn about how to eat healthily, but the advice of the can and meat is confusing and contradictory, and this food pyramid is just terrifying.
Yes, it
The
is.
food groups can easily be sorted using the simple health shape.
It's also about how certain name brand products are good for you and others are bad. The underlying theme here is clear. The kid show these 3 characters are in throughout the entirety of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared sets sets out to deliver lessons about the world, but either fails miserably or succeeds in intentionally brainwashing kids to a specific point of view. But why? Why are the creators of the show so cynical about kids programming? Are they trying to
Because
say
they
that
know
there's some big
something that we
conspiracy behind
don't.
kids' TV shows? Well, yeah, actually. Definitely seems that way. Dig a little bit deeper and there's evidence that the show's creators are railing against not just kids' TV, but the makers of kids' TV and what their goals really are. Not in educating kids, but in making money. Throughout the series, we see visuals all about earning money, such as the very first thing you see in Don't Hug Me, a newspaper which reads, "Stocks flying high," along with a figure that seems to imply that the value of the British pound is increasing. We also have subtler clues, like a board game in the background of episode 4 that's titled Money Win. But the most important element of this is in a very small detail. Any fan of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared knows that each of the episodes takes place on June 19th.
Yes, it
but What
does.
you have to look closer to see is the year. You can actually figure it out from episode 1. That newspaper headline about stocks soaring in the UK is no accident, and it's not fiction. If you look at stock records for June 19th over the last 100 years, there's one year in particular where stock markets were hitting record highs on that date in 1955.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
In 1955, stock markets all over the world, including the US and UK, broke practically every record imaginable when the markets opened. And if this was good evidence in episode 1, in episode 2, we get our definitive proof. When the clock mentions that the past is far behind us, we see a picture of all three main characters with the date underneath that reads 1906-55.
How did I see
obviously
that?
Stands for June 19th, since the Brits put their date before the month, with the 55 confirming our year. But why? Why 1955? Well, 1955 was actually a huge deal in British television history. Prior to 1954, the British Broadcasting Corporation, or BBC, held a monopoly on British television. But it was 1954 that the UK passed what became known as the Television Act, in an effort to bring an end to that BBC monopoly. This act led to the establishment of the first alternative network called ITV, for Independent TV, in 1954. While the BBC is sponsored by the British government, ITV is independent and therefore has to make its money through advertising. Now, in interpreting this series, other YouTube channels, most notably YouTube Explained, have covered this topic, but they've said in the context of Don't Hug Me that this was a good evolution. I see it the opposite way, and I'm pretty sure the creators of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared would agree, and here's why. This was the first time that advertising appeared in British television, marking an inflection point at which television went from a medium to communicate and entertain to a medium to make a profit, thereby giving executives and advertisers
That's how it is
as
too
much
nowadays.
and oftentimes more power than the creators.
We're still getting
And Britain was
advertisements.
especially sensitive to TV advertising. I mean, in the US, we were already used to interrupting TV programs with ads, or not even interrupting them at all. In the US, it was actually standard practice at the time to bleed those regular shows into an ad. So one minute you'd be watching the Flintstones, and then all of a sudden they'd be selling you cigarettes.
Ah, you're right.
One piece of
They just,
evidence
like,
that was
point
used
it
in those
out.
ads was that
They
in
just
the
show it
US,
instead
the
of, like,
coverage of
advertising
Queen
it.
Elizabeth's coronation was interrupted by a commercial with a dancing monkey named J. Fred Muggs. The British considered advertisements like that embarrassing and quite frankly rude. You don't interrupt their queen with a monkey? So 1954 and 1955 were years that were filled with debates about when and how to allow ads onto TV. And if the behavior of Becky and Joe, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared's creators, is any indication, the issue of ads influencing TV is a big concern of theirs. According to the newspaper The Guardian, Becky and Joe received offers from more mainstream sources to make episodes of Don't Hug Me, but turned them all down and funded the project themselves through Kickstarter. Joe
Nice.
Pelling was quoted as saying, "We wanted to keep it fairly odd and have the freedom to keep doing exactly what we wanted." The implication here is clear. If Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared were made for television, it would have had to have been approved by other people whose interests would have...
Yes, that is how television work. Because if they wouldn't have took those deals from any of those TV companies or anything, they will not have 100% full control of their show. Like, they will not, because it will have to go through people top heads, all that. It's just annoying as hell.
Been for
I'm glad that they
profit
did it their
or
own way.
popularity, not
That they did
about
it by
the message
themselves.
of the show. And when you look at these 6 episodes, it's pretty clear that the messages for a positive, good, inspirational, entertaining kids show are there, but they've been perverted by the influence of an outside force. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is ultimately a parable for the loss of control that artists trade off when they work on bigger screens.
Yep.
Their messages are manipulated and their morals are poisoned by others with ulterior
Yep, that's how
motives.
television is.
I'm gonna have to leave you hanging. I know, I'm sorry. I recognize that we're just starting to scratch the surface of this series, but establishing this series as a launching point was really important for answering all the other questions that we haven't gotten a chance to touch on today. Who are these characters, really? What is the significance of June 19th?
I need to know, June
Oh
19th.
boy, the ominous lurking figure the yellow guy claims is his dad. And
Hey,
what
that's
does
what I
the
wanna know
ending
too.
mean? But don't worry, we're getting to all those questions and more in just another week, which means that the lesson of today is subscribing.
Yes, guys, subscribe to my channel.
A good idea.
Very good idea.
To see the videos
Oh
when
man.
they come out. Subscribe.
It's advertising.
And in the meantime,
Advertising.
remember,
I'm
that's
advertising
just
as well.
A theory, a film theory, and cut.
Oh my gosh. Hey, no.
Guess it's my-
We have to stop it there.
What's your favorite?
Sorry. All right, guys, I'll definitely check out the second episode of the film theory. That is very interesting. Now there's a lot of things that is explaining a lot to me right now, especially when like them trying not to get advertising in their own little Don't Hug Me, and try not to get, even though they especially turned down a bunch of television programs because they know, well, if they took a deal, they would have lost not full control. Well, they would have lost mostly full control of their show, and it wouldn't have been so different. It wouldn't have been like the way how it is today. But yeah, very interesting to watch. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen in episode 2 of the second explanation. This is gonna be very interesting. Very interesting. 1955 advertising, the stock markets. That's how they were back then. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. It's your boy JangleX. Take care and peace.
Well, I think you're pretty great.